Underrated. Underrated favorites.
Movies you might have missed.
It's happening.
It's real. It's live. It's connected to Wi-Fi. It is connected to Wi-Fi. All right.
Here we go.
Underrated.
What underrated favorites?
Welcome, everybody, to Underrated Favorites.
Movies you might have missed.
My name is Roosta.
And I am Neek.
And on this podcast, we take a look at movies that are at least 10 years or older and ask, hey, you remember that movie? I always thought that was pretty good. Let's dive into it and double check and check our feelings on it. Check the pulse of the film. Check if it aged well. Things like
and
that.
See what's going on.
See the haps. So if you're unfamiliar with the film we're discussing, we do a brief spoiler-free rundown before we dive in and spill all the beans.
Yep.
Today, we are looking at
none other than
the neo-noir black comedy, Kiss Kiss, Bang Bang.
So I'll give the breakdown.
Sure.
Cool. So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a 2005 neo-noir black comedy starring Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer, R.I.P., and Michelle, I can't pronounce
Monaghan.
her. See? White last names. Man. So it was written and directed by Shane Black. In summary, without spoilers, in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Robert Downey Jr. plays Harry Lockhart, or Harold the Great. Mm-hmm. A degenerate crook who stumbles into a movie audition, which lands him the role and a trip to L.A. In Hollywood, Harry is tasked to follow private detective Gay Perry. So his name is Perry, and he's gay, and this is a early 2000s movie, so that is his character name.
Well, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. But so he's played by Val Kilmer, again, R.I.P., to research his role. Also, in Hollywood, Harry runs into his former high school crush, Harmony Lane. And the three are whisked into a murder mystery that goes across the city of Angels. So the movie had a budget of $15 million and made $15.8 million in the box office. So if you're wondering how this ended up on this list, that's it.
But look at these stats.
Also, we have the ratings of an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. So it's a little conflicting there, and that's why we do this. Mm-hmm. We do this for you when it doesn't quite make sense. All right, so right now it's not currently streaming anywhere, but you can rent it for the cheap skis on YouTube or Prime if you're still supporting Bezos. No shade though. Mm-hmm. So now let's do our pre-spoiler concessions chat. How old were you when you first saw this movie?
I saw this film, I want to say in 2007. And it was because it had been out a little bit. I was kind of working at a Hollywood Video. And then my kind of film buddy at the time, Creepy Larry, was like, have you seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, dude?
Of course, Creepy Larry.
You gotta watch
Shout
Kiss
out to
Kiss Bang
Creepy Larry if you listen to this, but everything I've heard about you, this makes so much sense.
Good movie taste. So he was like, you got to watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's hilarious and blah, blah, blah. And he was always into these sort of awkward films like Death to Smoochie, which we talked about.
Another black comedy.
Yeah.
Black comedy does not mean it's black people led.
No, not at all. Nowadays it might.
Yeah.
Anywho, so right. I saw it on DVD. I thought it was hilarious. It kind of hit me in this sweet spot where I was like 22, 23. And
cynical, subliminal, but not completely lost to the darkness yet.
And it was honestly, and we'll talk about this a bit, but it was that time where Robert Downey Jr. was not a name. Like he and Val Kilmer too, they were both kind of on the outs.
Val Kilmer voiced Moses and God in The Prince of Egypt, 1999.
So in 2005, no one cared that much.
I'm just saying, everyone cared. No one stopped caring. The problem is, no one knew that it was voiced by.
Yeah. So no one saw his face.
No one saw his face.
So it was kind of hard to imagine a film that had Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer being anything worth watching.
I guess there's no big names like as far as at the time. This really didn't have any like big name draw you in. But I think movies at the time didn't need that to get made.
No, for sure. Because I mean, a $15 million budget isn't much at all.
Yeah, and they use it well because it's like it was probably mostly permits for shutting down different areas.
Probably. But yeah, so that was me. You just saw this film for the first time.
Yes, I was 32 because I just saw it earlier today.
Yeah.
Experience. As far as, do you feel like this movie had like any big impact on cinema history?
I did want to talk about this a little more in depth later, but I feel like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is really a film almost like Go, where it's a film that
same vibe,
where people, if they haven't seen it, they don't know what you're talking about.
Hell yeah.
But after the fact, then they kind of are like, oh my god, that was really good. And it's in that sweet zone like Go, where the actors are kind of all just committed to the bit. The dialogue is very pithy and catchy. But it doesn't necessarily rise to the level of like this pop culture film that everyone's in on.
I think in layman's terms, what I feel like you're saying is that it's a movie where these are people that you feel like you would like to hang out with, but they're not actually people that you would want to hang out with.
Right.
Like, these are a piece of shit people. But, like, watching it, you're like, oh, they're so funny, or oh, they're so witty, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then they're really just pieces of shit when you look at their actions.
And I'll say also for film history a bit, in 2005 and around the like middle to like end of the early aughts, like they didn't know how to make movies yet. Like they were feeling things out. There was a lot of Fast and Furious still. It was like this was sort of.
I think it's wild to say in 2005 they didn't know how to make movies.
No. What I mean is like there were movies like Brick by Rian Johnson, who now does all the Knives Out movies, which is an awesome film. But it was this sort of, to your point, what you just kind of said about people. Like, oh, these aren't really people I want to hang out with, but I kind of like the way they're talking and this, that, and the third. Like, it was sort of this residual from the 90s.
Yes.
Of, like, the dialogue is great, but rather than in the 90s where, like, the people were still either really fucking cool, like in Pulp Fiction, or, like, fun to hang out with, like the gang in, Dazed and Confused. Now it's like, these are horrible people, and we're not here to like appreciate them really. We're just supposed to like get a glimpse into these worlds
for the ride.
Yeah. Because like, who else would you want to go on the ride with but a scumbag?
Not a scumbag?
I mean, why? What the fuck I want to see you do? Like, pay your taxes on time? Get the fuck out of here.
Well, no, I mean, like, but like a scumbag, like you can be a bad person and be a scumbag. I guess this goes back to my
Scum Gang.
Like Oliphant in Go.
He's a scum.
Yes, but he was a good scum.
No, he wasn't. He was just like him because he had abs. He was gonna murder someone.
He was gonna murder someone, but he made sure Shorty ate first. Like, no, well, yes, either way, he did. And so that's what I'm saying. I want a scum who's not going to abandon me at the crime scene. Like,
that's what Gay Perry did. He was there for Robert Downey Jr., even though he hated
pushed him off of his car and was like, I need to go.
Because he needed to go.
Okay, we need to not. We're still in pre-spoilers. So one last thing before we get into the shits and spoilers, one last question for you, Roos.
Yeah.
This was your pick.
Yeah.
Why did you pick this movie for this pod?
It is an underviewed film, clearly, based on the money that it did not make. And I think it's a underappreciated Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer movie. Because, like we said, one of the reasons why this even came up was because Val Kilmer just passed away recently, R.I.P. And he was a sort of, I don't know who I would kind of compare him to now, but like he had this sort of gravity as an actor. Did you know that he like graduate or like was one of the youngest graduates from like, what's that very famous like art school? Like Juilliard. Yeah. Like he was like the youngest graduate from Juilliard.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and he just took acting like so serious. And
that's crazy looking at all the roles he had.
Exactly.
Like the fact that he was someone that took it serious, but these are the roles that he ended up being famous for is like this role in like
Top Gun
is like
Tombstone.
So that's crazy. That is so crazy. Wait, was he the kid in Tombstone?
No, he was Doc Holliday.
He was Doc. Okay.
Yeah. So he's like in Tombstone that he's most well known for. He's in Top Gun that he's most well known for. The Doors, which was also like
that's where
that
he
was like
went
a hot mess.
Yeah, he
but
went
that wasn't
off the
him.
fucking,
That was the director.
I mean,
yes,
yeah.
You're not wrong. Yeah, but yes, when he lights
went,
the door on fire in The Doors. Yeah. And so
crazy.
he just commits to these roles. And actually, you know who he would almost be like a Joaquin Phoenix now. But like, but he was.
They were like the same. Aren't they like the same age?
No, he's older than Joaquin.
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix is old as shit.
Maybe, yeah.
But
like I think either way. My point being that he whereas you have a Joaquin Phoenix or like a Christian Bale might be a better example and they both played Batman, and which is also what Val Kilmer is known for.
Yes.
Is that Val? I think he was almost like too pretty for people. Like trust me, at the time in the 90s, like Val Kilmer was just like this attractive, like the dirtiest he played was Doc Holliday, and everyone still wanted to bang him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like so he couldn't shake, because whereas like Joaquin Phoenix,
I mean, no shade again if you found him attractive, but that's crazy.
But like whereas Joaquin Phoenix or even Christian Bale, sometimes they do those like extreme roles to like really make themselves ugly, or even Brad Pitt kind of found his niche and like when he did 12 Monkeys and even Fight Club where he's all kind of gnarly, but
Fight Club is one of his most attractive movies, but okay.
That's what people say. Yeah, they do like that for him for that. But Val never kind of never got out of his sort of
out of his
aura,
bag.
Out of his to like show us a different side. And so like as Gay Perry, on the downside, and during some of the research I did for this film, like he really wanted to branch out into comedy because he was just like, I can do this. Like,
oh, he was like, put me in, coach.
That's what he was like. So
okay, so now we are going to get to the spoilers. We're going to talk about it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
If you want to go and watch before we get to the spoilers, again, it's not currently streaming anywhere, but available to rent super cheap on Prime Video and YouTube. It's time to rewind and pause.
And it's like, there's not a whole lot to spoil about. Like, about the film is there's a lot of jokes. It's a lot of really witty humor. And then there's a murder mystery at the front. Yeah,
and you get to just hang out with Robert Downey Jr. being piffy and witty. And that's kind of it. Like, yeah,
he smokes it.
He does. And is this the film that got him Iron Man?
Yes, it is. He even said so in an interview. He was like, this is the one that wrote the check for me to get into Iron Man.
That's so cute.
Yeah. Because he was really, you know what his film was before this, right?
Nope.
Gothica. So this was like he was trying to come back.
I love Gothica.
Yeah. We'll definitely do Gothica at some point.
Yeah.
But as far as the story and the plot, everyone in LA is terrible is basically the point of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's this interesting, I think the whole plot of the film, for those who have gotten to this point, and we'll just kind of spoil it because I think it's important to then get to the crux of the story. And I'm very interested because I feel like you didn't like the story.
It's not that I didn't like the story. It's that I didn't feel like, the thing is, this is a story that I feel like in summary, I would have been like, I'm very excited for when you tell me the beats. But I feel like there was a lot of like the pithiness kind of took out the serious notes of the story.
Right.
And instead of amplifying them.
I think so to kind of talk about the story and then some like an observation I have about the film. So the whole basis of the movie is we meet Robert Downey Jr. in New York City. He is a 2-bit crook. Like he's stealing. It is also a Christmas movie.
Yes.
And it takes over the place. It takes over like 4 days. So as he is robbing a toy store days before the holidays, taking, toys in the middle of the night, he gets shot and trying to escape. And as he's running from the cops,
his buddy gets shot through his arm.
He ducks into a movie casting situation and he just kills the audition because he's just like still so amped up on adrenaline from the shit.
And the story is basically what just happened to him. It was like, his partner just got shot and it was your fault.
So they're like, send him to L.A. So they send him to L.A. and that's where we find him. That's where he finds his old high school crush, Harmony Lane. And
that just sound like a hoe name.
No,
Harmony
for sure.
Lane.
Well, but he talks about that. He talks about how Harmony was a hoe, and
it didn't stop him from loving her.
Hell no. So it was very kind of forward thinking in that way.
Yeah.
And so as he's there, he is tracking Perry, trying to sort of understand how detective work goes. And he's an idiot. Like, that's kind of the point, is like most people, he doesn't know shit about what the job is. And this is where I think the movie does a good job of doing something that I'm going to kind of assume that you didn't like, but it takes like, those neo-noir cop dramas where like it's very interesting to hang out with a private detective, or the City of Angels and there's all these attractive women and there's this, or everyone's kind of a cool guy, or everyone's very like in the now and hip. It's like, nah, man, LA's not like that. Being a private detective is not like that. None of this is like that. It kind of is all.
I think it kind of it feels weird. Like it feels weird off. We lose some of that because he peeps all of that like super fast. Like he gets there and immediately is not like caught up in any of the glitz. Like
when the first girl comes up to him at the party and is like, "Hey, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm retired. I invented dice when I was a kid."
Yeah,
hilarious line, by the way, and one that Creepy Larry used to say all the time at bars.
But see, that's the thing. Dice. It's like. Why did he even go if he was going to be so anti the whole time?
Because he was running from the cops.
I understand that, but he was past running from the cops.
I don't think he was. I think that's that thing though. It kind of similar to Go. It's like how you stumble into sort of one thing after the other. The other interesting thing about the plot to me is that when the first sort of mystery happens and there's this dead woman in the trunk of a car who her car crashes in a lake that Perry and Harry find. I
will say, like, I love the nonlinear narrative aspects of it because I love a nonlinear narrative, but it's just like it feels too much, and then like
I can see that. Well, because this is where I was going to go with it next was I feel like the thing that the movie does, and even this time around it was a little bit annoying to me, is it's like the people want to be done with it already. Like Harry kind of wants to be done. Like either let's film this movie that I'm in. Like that's great. Cool. Perry's like, look, man, you're just here to hang out with me on this case. When they find the dead body, he's like, I just want to get rid of this dead body and just it be over with. But it's like the mysteries keep unfolding. And even with like Harry, where he's like, oh my God, it's my high school crush. And he's like really charming her. And they have that first moment, that first night together. And then he wakes up the next morning and he slept with her friend. And he's like, oh my God, and like runs to her house. And he kind of says, it's like when I try to land on something, like I tend to bail like halfway through. It's just always been my thing. And I think that's kind of also what I find interesting about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is it's like a lot of times the responsibility that lands on us, no one really wants to do. Like no one really wants to do.
Okay, I feel that lesson. Like I hear you on that lesson.
Yeah. But what did you think of the characters? Let's talk about some of the characters. So we have Downey.
So we have Robert Downey Jr. playing Harry Lockhart. I felt like, again, I just felt like he was like 3 different characters pushed into one person. Because it's like, how is he so like dumb where he's just kind of figuring things out, going along with whatever, like being pushed through life by the things happening around him, but then also like rises above everything so easily. Like that was kind of
What did he rise above?
or like not being pulled into the glitz of Hollywood. Like I think someone who's just like a scammy opportunist person would have fell into that a bit more than what they had him do.
True. I think it happening over the course of 4 days.
Yeah, I feel like he would have gotten lost for at least one of those.
Well, he did get lost. Remember, he ended up in the pink girl's house.
No, that was not him
you mean a different
being
kind of
lost in. I'm talking about being seduced by Hollywood. If he's just a guy who's out trying to steal shit and make it big, looking for his easy lick, like I think he would have got drawn in by the drugs, the easy money, like stuff that's out there. Like, but he was not at all. Like, didn't even try to be. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how is he so gullible but so smart at the same time?
I don't think he's an idiot. And I know we kind of mentioned that. And then there's a scene where, like, Gay Perry says, like, you know what you would find if you looked up the word idiot in a dictionary? And he's like, well, let me guess, a picture of me. He's like, no, you'd find the definition of idiot, which you are. And then just, like, walks away on him like that. But he's not an idiot. I think what it is he is smart, but he to me is a guy who's not putting his efforts and energy in anything productive. And so even if you are a smart 2-bit criminal, you're still a 2-bit criminal. You know, even if you are like someone who can see through the facade of Hollywood, you're not better than them, man. And I think and I think that's maybe my take on it. Like, he kind of sees through the superficial, like, side of all these people, and like,
but still has his own shit that he hasn't worked through. Because
he's like, and eventually at the end, he just tells Harmony, like, I steal shit. Like, that's what I do. I didn't have it figured out after high school. And she's kind of like, I came out here to be an actress. There's even that moment at the bar where she's kind of like talking about this older actress who's like 35 years old. And she's like, she doesn't realize she's washed up yet. I see her at these auditions. It's passed you by. And he's like, how old are you? And she's like, I'm 34. And it's like, and so like, there is that awareness that I think people have to like ignore, and that's what we call delusion. I think Gay Perry is like the only character who's like completely like sober the whole time to people, their motives, and understanding like why they do the things they do. Because even he was kind of explaining his job to Robert Downey Jr.'s character, he's like, dude, most of the time it's just lonely men who are, you know, cheating on their wives, or they're just trying to escape, do some sometimes on the low, they're just trying to be gay. And he's like, I catch a lot of that too. Like, you know, just guys out here who just don't want to want to be something else. And that's about it. And so like, he's the one with the perspective. And that's why he also tells Robert Downey Jr. pretty early, like, hey man, you're not going to get the part. And Downey kind of has that moment where he's like, well, I mean, I know this is my first time acting in a movie, but I think, you know, it was coaching. He's like, no, you're not going to get the movie because Colin Farrell just wanted too much money. You are just here, and I'm here to like walk you through this shit to make him think like, oh my God, I'm not going to get this part, so that he knocks off a few million from the price tag. And it's like, that's at the heart of what this is it's like everyone has these motives and will go through these elaborate lengths to believe a fake story. And I think that's I don't know.
That's really interesting. And that's why I say like, but I feel like, and this goes to like, you explaining that hits harder than the movie did. And
Fair.
That goes to what I was saying before with a lot of like the little piffy things that are like, it's a cool hangout, I would like want to be with these people. It takes away from like the lessons of the movie, the point of the movie.
I'll say this though. I agree with you, but I think this being your first time seeing it, and it's not to take away your experience of it, I think, and we also saw Thunderbolts, which was awesome earlier.
Yeah, maybe I'm just comparing it. I shouldn't have saw Thunderbolts right before
because
this.
because when we talk about pithy dialogue, great back and forth, and not for nothing, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang to me is that underrated movie that really pushed that forward. Like Pulp Fiction had its moment in the sun where now everyone's kind of like witty and like stylistically cool, but like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang push this trend forward, and also films like Superbad a bit, and they started to follow 40-Year-Old Virgin and other films like that. Later, kind of took the better shine away from that, but in 2005 and 2007 when I saw it, like this was it. Actually, yeah, Superbad came out in 2007. So like this film was just kind of ahead, and people, I just don't think they kind of wanted to see a film with Robert Downey Jr. They didn't want to see a film with Val Kilmer, and they didn't really, and I think it was sort of unbelievable that these guys would be that charming on screen, because in real life they weren't. Like, it was kind of like, one of the things I love about the movie is they kind of make fun of Robert Downey Jr. in this meta way, where Michelle Monaghan's character, the robot who dies in her or outside her apartment.
Yes.
Like, because he was like a failed actor whose show got canceled, but he kept the RoboCop outfit.
Yes.
And drunkenly stumbled into her apartment. That's like Robert Downey Jr. when he woke up in, like, I think it was a kid's bed. Like, the kid wasn't in the bed, but it was because the same situation. He was like just drugged out of his mind, and he walked up the beach, and there was his house, and he just wanted to fall asleep. So these people woke up to finding Robert Downey Jr. in their children's room, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Oh, my bad." And like, I'm out. Like, he had a rough time when he was on drugs.
I guess, like, I don't know that Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I only know what came after this. So, I mean, like, you know what? Thank you, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, for giving me the Robert Downey Jr. that I know.
For real, though. Yeah. Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. I have no relationship to Val Kilmer, really. I know we talked about him earlier. I know the things that he's done.
You like Batman Forever. Don't do that.
I mean, like, it's not my favorite Batman.
This pod is never coming back. This pod is over.
It's not my favorite Batman. I'm sorry. I love the one that everyone hates with George Clooney and the rubber lips.
It's our last time as underrated favorites. Thank you. Underrated. But yeah, well,
I mean, so, yeah. But I love the Prince of Egypt.
You do love the Prince of Egypt.
I do.
But I think, let's just talk about the character of Gay Perry. I think in a weird way too, this was also a forward thinking film, because they talk about like homophobia and like, and essentially like, without
it being the butt of a joke.
Right.
Like, cause even with him being Gay Perry, and like, like people call him that because he's gay and his name is Perry. Like, yeah. But it's not a joke. Like, they're not like dissing him or like anything. They're not being disrespectful even.
Yeah.
Like, and people, like, even though they call him Gay Perry, like, people still ask, like, "Oh, are you gay?" Like, it's not.
He's like, "No, man, I'm knee deep drowning in pussy. The name just stuck."
Yes. Like, and so I think it's funny, like, in a way of being like, the way they approach it, which later on, I think, would be respectful.
More normal. Yeah. Which, like, later on in other movies and television shows, you would start to see more of.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And Michelle Monaghan, how did you didn't? I feel like she didn't move the needle for you.
She didn't. I mean, like, you find out that your father is raping your little sister, and your answer is to leave town.
Well, she was also a child, and when she left,
she was the older sister.
I love how you have like these great like takes on characters in film sometimes.
Well, no, I mean, like,
it's like, why did they do the bad thing? It's like, because they're morally complex characters that
I understand, but there's just some things you don't come back from, and I don't care who you are. You leave your little sister. You know she's getting raped by your dad every night, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, fuck you, and I don't really care about your future.
I feel like I have to give the rest of the plot now, because for those people who don't understand, they're like, wait a minute.
You're like, what?
There's Gay Perry.
And see, there's a murder, and that's what I'm saying, people, listeners. The fact that I just said something completely off the wall that has nothing to do, it feels like it has nothing to do with the rest of the story, because for most of the time it doesn't, and it doesn't even get you a great like aha moment, because it's trying to be so cool in its delivery of the connection.
It's interesting that that's how you see it, though. And I get that. No, I see how you see it like that. For me, I think that was the point. It's like, again, it's sort of like sometimes there, and we'll kind of get to this in just a sec, but like sometimes the catharsis is overrated. Like,
I get that closure is overrated, but
like at some point you're gonna get your finger cut off, and then a dog's gonna eat it, and that's it. You're just down a digit. Like, and that's what happens in the movie. Like, again, like
he's not lying. It literally,
the wild things that happen in the movie, and sort of like it's kind of like how you make your bed. Like, it is at the heart of this film. It's like you have plot real fast, people. So he goes to L.A. he's tailing Gay Perry. There's a woman who's dead in a trunk. Perry had to shoot open the lock to get her out of the trunk. He accidentally shoots the dead body. Damn it, we got to get away. But take the body. Let's figure it out. Come to find out, Harmony Lane is there, and Harry's like trying to mac on her. Sleeps with her friend. Over the course of that, he ends up finding the dead body in his hotel room because the killers who were there that night saw him, and they're trying to frame him. You come to find out, it's like, well, that means that they were at the party that I was at earlier. Let's try and solve this case. During the same time, Harmony's sister commits suicide. Oh my God. She wants to hire Harry because Harry lied and said he was a detective, but he's not a detective. So
he's just playing a detective in the movie, and that's why he's with Perry. So
they get rid of the body. They start looking into things. Apparently, they find out that this director this producer who was also behind bringing Harry out in the first place had a daughter who was going to sue him for millions of dollars. So he put her in an insane asylum. They kill her. He had a replacement sort of stunt daughter. And Harmony's sister thought that producer, who was formerly an actor, was really her dad, because when her sex abusing dad was doing that, Harmony told her younger sister, like, oh, that's not your real dad. Don't worry about it. It was this actor who came into town this one time. And so when she goes down to L.A. to find this dad and hired Gay Perry to help him run surveillance, what it actually was she saw the producer having sex with the fake daughter. She thought it was the real daughter. She's like, oh my God, I can't escape incest. This is terrible. Killed herself. Perry figures that out. The producer figures out that Perry and Harry and Harmony know all this, so they got to die. So then they try to like commit another murder plot, and then they have to eventually escape and prove the case and then walk away. But the film ends with they have the funeral for the sister who killed herself, and then Gay Perry goes into this hospital room that has their sexual abusing father, and he slaps the shit out of that motherfucker like a couple times, and is like, yeah, you thought you were a big man now, but guess what? You know, you were the one who put her in that grave way before she killed herself. Like, you piece of shit, and blah, blah, blah. And then it closes on Robert Downey Jr. like being the narrator again, like, yeah, that was pretty intense, huh, with the old man, but hey, you know, we feel good about that.
And all I'm saying is in all of that, that rundown was more succinct than the movie. I feel like there's a really good movie in this movie that we didn't get to see.
I'm officially lost, but instantly intrigued.
Exactly, because I'm glad you got that. Maybe that'll keep you through watching the whole movie. But
so let's talk about impact and context. Was there from 2005 to now, do you think it aged well?
Oh, definitely. I feel like this is one of the best aging underrated favorites that we've had.
In terms of its positivity towards like homosexuality and sex positivity,
and
kind of like non-toxic masculinity.
Yeah, like there's just a lot of like, I want to say regularness, or what should be regularness. Like even in the crappy people, they're not terrible people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and so I feel like, it's one of our better aging movies as far as historical context. I know you were saying that this influenced a lot of other movies. Would you like to give the rundown of the movies that you definitely see the influence of this?
I think this influenced movies like The Nice Guys, which we really love, which might actually be an underrated favorite. Inherent Vice, Burn After Reading, which I love. The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, which is more slapsticky, but kind of the same thing. Game Night, which we love. And Seven Psychopaths. Again, even movies like The Thunderbolts that we saw. Like,
so you're saying this is the rise of the Shitty hero.
The rise of the shitty hero. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it, because it's the rise of the cynically shitty hero.
Yeah.
And I think when we think of cynical heroes sometimes,
Which is why 22-year-old you really loved it.
Right. But but here's the difference between 22-year-old me then and young men now, is I think now like cynicism gets this glaze of
I feel like people feel like being cynical means they're smarter than other people now.
Exactly. And I think back then cynicism was sort of also just treated as like yeah, things are what they are, but if you appreciate that, like, and you accept things just sort of where they're at, you can still find happiness, you can still find joy, you can still get your harmony lane, you can like whatever, like, because that was the other thing too that I thought was kind of funny about it is like when you look at like the love story at the middle, like I don't know if they had good chemistry.
Is it a love story?
Well, he had a crush on her since he was a kid, and then he kind of also talks about like, yeah, even though I was like the guy, he doesn't say friend zone, but he was like, I was friend zoned throughout high school while she banged a bunch of dudes and then would come crying to me.
She literally had sex with every other guy in school
except him. The only guy that she wouldn't have sex with was his best friend,
and she did it for him because she would never do that to him. But then turns out she did.
Find out later, she's like, "Oh yeah, I did sleep with your best friend," and he's like, "God damn it!" And then he closes the door. But I think that's also kind of the fascinating part is it's like she slept with everybody else that you knew about in your high school, and you still put her on a pedestal. And then when you find out the one bridge that was too far, he like kind of wants to shut her out and all this stuff.
I don't think it was that. I think it was the lying. I think
he was lying to her about being a detective. He was lying to her about everything.
I'm talking about when they were in high school, when he was being her only true friend.
She said that she slept with his best friend right before she left for LA, and it was kind of like a goodbye thing. And so, like, she didn't fuck him in high school.
Okay. I'm
just saying, I guess that's my point, is it's like putting things on pedestals is kind of stupid.
Speaking of, what's on your pedestal, Rooster, for this movie?
I think I'm going to put Robert Downey Jr. because this is where he became Tony Stark. And I think where you see it as like three different characters in one, I see this as like the genesis that then became three different characters. Like, I think this is where Sherlock Holmes came from.
Yes.
I think this is where his Iron Man came from. I think this is also where like some of his serious and kind of comedic roles. Like, you remember Due Date with him and Zach Galifianakis? Yeah, that was a good movie.
Well, this is really like, I went on like, this is funny because this is right before I really got into Robert Downey Jr. And then it's like, you know how I just have some actors, it's like, oh, we're going to like, oh, there's a new Karate Kid with Jackie Chan. Guess what? I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Karate Kid, but I see movies that Jackie Chan is in. Yeah. So we're going to go see that. Like, that's how I was for a little while with Robert Downey Jr. was like, I don't give a fuck what the movie is.
You just didn't see any movie before 2007. So you never saw like Less Than Zero. Yeah, you didn't see Weird Science.
Yeah, no. It was all the movies after that. If I see Robert Downey Jr.'s in that shit, guess what? Even that bum-ass Dr. Dolittle movie, I'm there.
Oh, he was in that bum-ass Dr. Dolittle movie.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been remade. It's not his fault. But
it really shouldn't have.
Like, Eddie Murphy was still around.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have remade it at the time.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So anyway.
What would you pair with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
So you mentioned Go, and I feel like that's another, like, you know, it's a Christmas duo, Christmas that doesn't feel like Christmas duo. Like, honestly, they might be in the same universe. They might be. Watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang first and then Go, and it just takes you through the holidays. Like,
I can see, and they all kind of take place over the course of like 2-3 days.
Yeah, so it's like, I think that's cool, like the fact that you had said that. But before you had said that, the movie that I was going to pair with this was going to be like, it needed to be something stupid. So like Tropic Thunder.
Oh, I could really see that. Yeah. I could see that.
Like,
and
just dichotomy, you know?
Okay.
What are you pairing with it?
It's weird. I think I would pair it with either The Nice Guys. So you kind of see the same movie twice, but you see how
things have progressed.
And I do think Nice Guys is a better movie than Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
I feel like they just figured out the narrative a little more.
Probably.
And they leaned into different things. Like, they had it being the 70s, so there's certain, you know, like, they didn't have cell phones.
True.
Like, stuff like that.
So I would give it either that, or if I was trying to just sort of keep it on the funny, I would
funnies.
pair it with something.
The other guys, not the nice guy. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say like maybe something like another 48, not another 48 hours. Running Scared with which is you don't know what Running Scared is, but it's an old comedy from the late 80s starring Billy Crystal and
He's such a movie buff, guys.
no, but it was good. It was a comedy, and I think that was sort of like that cop buddy comedy. I think that's the other thing this film was sort of like fucking with is like buddy cop comedies. It's like when he tells Perry like, "I thought you were my friend." He's like, I'm not your fucking friend. Like, why would you say that? Like, I just met you. Like, no, like, you know. But that's and
But that's how they be.
You gotta go. Get off my car. You gotta go.
Just like
That
I really
was-
gotta go. I gotta go.
It's like, I'm so sorry. I gotta go. No, I gotta go. And we gotta go. But before we go,
We have our ranking
We have
system.
our rankings.
So at the tippy top, we have the underrated favorite. The movie rocks. Nothing can be done, like nothing could be said bad about the movie. It is the greatest movie ever, and it deserves for more people to see it. Next, we have the good but slept on film. Yeah, so the movie is great, but it didn't catch on or have more eyes on it for reasons. Usually there was something better out at the time. Next, we have the historically mid. It's a solid watch. But yeah, you just decided whether or not it's going to have your attention. You know, it's cool if you see it, cool if you don't. Below that, we have a good bad movie. So those are the ones that we know are bad, but just for reasons, different things, it just sticks into your heart and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my movie and I don't care. It's, this is my ugly baby that I'm gonna love. Next, at the very, very bottom, we have the certified flop. The movie is all out bad, and there's really nothing else to say about it, So I think the only certified flop we've had so far is Garden State. So
which is hilarious because a lot of people love Garden State.
Yeah.
And we're like, nah, fuck that movie. So,
anyway, so where are you ranking
I'm going to be honest.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
In my heart, it's an underrated favorite, but I'm not going to do that to the people.
Well, to the people.
I'm going
You're
to say
appreciated.
you are appreciated to the 3 listeners of underrated favorites. We appreciate you. You don't know how much we actually
We
DM
do this
us.
for you.
DM us and you might get a Christmas card
Ooh.
with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on it. Yeah. But I'm going to say it is a great bad movie. Not a good bad movie.
Okay.
A great bad movie. Because it is, and seeing it with you this time, I think kind of highlighted the bad for me. Because when
sorry.
no, I appreciate it. And again, we really just did see Thunderbolts, which was awesome. And so it was kind of like, this just doesn't have the same level of extraness that I think you have to have in movies now. It's very Spartan. It's very just like you got to catch the dialogue at the right time.
It's very low budget. Like I said, it was very simple in its like storyline and what's shot.
It's making fun of schlocky noir films. It's kind of like The Big Lebowski, but taking an actual detective's role in it as opposed to The Big Lebowski where he's just a bowler who falls into a mystery.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah.
Well, not even really.
Actually, I would pair
it's
this
getting
maybe
figured
with The
out.
Big Lebowski.
I think that is actually a really good pairing.
I would
The Big
pair
Lebowski and this.
those two. But I could understand if people saw it and they're like, I just didn't like it. And I'm like, I can see that. But if you like it, it's almost a cult classic movie because the people who like it, they really rock with it. So
see, I'm gonna
great bad.
I'm actually gonna rank it better. I say historically mid.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like this movie,
Maybe you're right. Maybe I should have just said historically mid. I don't know. I had to call it a great bad movie.
No, I mean
That's why we have a whole fucking spectrum of choices. And
It's
I'm just
all
like,
good, baby. No, I think that it's not a bad movie to me. I feel like there's a better movie in this movie. Maybe it's time for a reboot. And maybe that'll give it the justice to be the underrated favorite that I feel in my heart that it could be. I just feel like this is not it. But yeah, you go watch the movie. Let us know. Not streaming right now, but it goes in and out. So definitely check depending on when you're listening to this. But
Thank
you
y'all
can
for following
always
us.
rent on YouTube and Prime Videos. If you've seen it or you're going to go see it and you want to let us know what your ranking is, go ahead and DM us on Underrated Favorites Pod. On IG.
Until the next film, y'all keep watching movies. Go watch Sinners. Go watch Thunderbolts. We appreciate y'all supporting Underrated Favorites, a Gemini's production. I am Rooster.
And I'm Neek. Bye.